I want to say our dearly departed Walt Disney loved trains, and this has been one big railroad. Yesterday, the government admitted that Noor Salman could never have been near the Pulse nightclub before the attack. During the attack, after the attack, she was never at Pulse nightclub. They have been talking about Pulse nightclub, and this community has believed for 2 years that Pulse nightclub was the target of the attack. This has been the linchpin of the government's case and the confession that they claim is the basis for her charges of her crimes. And yesterday they admitted that that is false. I say to you, if the government says that that linchpin is false, the whole thing topples over. The confession has to be thrown out. The confession is not accurate. It's not factual. It's provably false. I don't know what more to say, except the government has now admitted that the thing they're using against her is not true. They've admitted that themselves. The defense doesn't even have to prove it. So she's being railroaded. There's no doubt. I think people know now. They see.
And this is what you guys have been saying all along, right?
Yes.
There is no possible way that she would have done such a thing. Does this make you feel like today, are you breathing a little easy, you guys?
I think that there's great hope now that the jury will see that the government doesn't have a case against her, that the FBI in 18 hours of interrogation put words into her mouth. They knew that Pulse had been attacked. They knew the details of the shooting, and they coerced her into the later parts of the confession that are provably false and caused her to say that she knew things that really she was putting together in that same moment. She had never put together that all of these things were him getting ready to attack a nightclub and kill 49 people. She couldn't have known.
So you don't think she misspoke? You think that was never spoken?
I think that she stated some things that she was putting together in her head, and the moment she started crying was the moment she said, I knew, I did know. But she had never before put together. He had lied to her about buying the ammunition, about buying the gun. He was being nice to her. What woman wouldn't want their husband to buy them gifts, right?
But
he had never treated her.
Why did you say you drove around Pulse if you never did?
Because when the FBI uses these interrogation tactics that they use on people in Guantanamo Bay, and they use them on a poor innocent girl, she's going to say things. You know, can you imagine? You drove around Pulse nightclub, didn't you? I mean, you know you did, don't you? I mean, I really think if we look at the history of the FBI interrogations, and we know they've used illegal tactics to get things out of people. So how difficult would it be for them to use those tactics on a young woman with a mother who's hardly ever out of the house? I mean, it's just so tragic that this has happened, that she's being held responsible for the crimes of her husband.
But we know the jury didn't hear a lot of the concerns that the judge had. So you guys really have to hold on hope that the jury picked up on that. Like, why would they say that if they knew it wasn't true, right? That's your hope, that the jury picked up on it.
Look, there is no doubt that it is very difficult to get an acquittal in federal court. However, the defense still has to present its case. There are closing arguments. Jury instructions being put together today are incredibly important. So our hope is that if the case goes this well, that she'll be acquitted, that they'll see the truth.
Do you think that there's any chance the judge will grant the acquittal today if a motion is filed?
I mean, it would be a wonderful thing if the judge granted a motion for acquittal, a judgment of acquittal. However, defense generally, it's very common for the defense after the government's case to ask for a judgment of acquittal. I think that the judge has spent a lot of time seating this jury. They worked very hard to call 1,000 people, 700, whittled down to 700, whittled down to 400, then down to 60, now down to these 18 people. I do not think, I think he will allow them to decide. I mean, we would wish for a judgment of acquittal, but I don't think that's going to happen. You're welcome.
Well, if you read the quote, it's just, that it's a tale full of sound and fury. It's referring to the indictment. I think that's obvious, isn't it?
Can you explain it to me? I'm sorry.
A tale, I think what it says in the motion is, it's a tale full of sound and fury, ultimately signifying nothing.
They're full of crap?
Signifying nothing.